When you say, well, he's a cop, so we're going to treat him differently, that's exactly the message that came out with these letters. And I strongly disagree with it.
But in my personal opinion, public officials are just like you and I. They should be able to lend their support to friends, family, loved ones when they feel appropriate.
9 months ago, a jury found a former Caldwell police lieutenant guilty of 3 federal felonies. Joseph Joey Hoadley was sentenced in February to 3 months in federal prison, a sentence he's currently serving out, his family tells me, in California. Multiple letters given to the court supporting Hoadley weighed into the judge's sentencing, many of which, I learned, current and former elected officials and public figures wrote. Those letters were originally sealed, but we fought to intervene in the case and get them unsealed. Decades of friendship, of professional partnerships, summed up in sentences, considered in sentencing. Men like Joey Hoadley were part of the solution that transformed our community to the vibrant and popular destination that it is now. A positive advocate for the city, Joey is not only an excellent police officer, he's a good person and friend, and he continues to be in my prayers. Joey is a great man, father, and Christian role model to his son and many others. He's more than this case, more than what the media has tried to make him out to be. Joey was tough and professional. He was not abusive, nor was he corrupt. He was asked to do an extremely tough and dangerous job, and he did it exceptionally well. His actions played a large part in the reduction of violent crime and the improvement of public safety in Caldwell. Just some of what past and current public officials said about former Caldwell Police Lieutenant Joey Hoadley in letters written to the court. They stacked up among 65 letters written to influence a federal judge's sentencing of Hoadley after he was found guilty of falsifying a record in a federal investigation, tampering with a witness by harassment, and tampering with documents last September. Criminal defense attorney Jeff Brownson, who has no connection to this case.
I would not want to be judged based upon the worst decision or my worst act in life.
Says attorneys and defendants often ask for letters of support ahead of sentencing.
Most likely all the judge knows about this person is the conduct that is subject to the trial or their admission of guilt, admitting to a crime. And a court typically wants to take in the whole picture of who they're sentencing. And one way to tell the court about who a person is to ask for and obtain letters of support by people who know him best or her best.
Among those who submitted letters supporting Hoadley, Canyon County Prosecutor Brian Taylor, Frank Wyant, recently retired Caldwell Police Chief, Caldwell City Councilman John McGee and Chris Allgood, also a legislator and former CPD chief, Chris Smith, former Canyon County Sheriff, and Caldwell Sergeant Scott Krupper. I reached out to all of them for comment, but didn't hear back from any, except Councilman Allgood.
My experience with Joey Hoadley was a positive one.
When we talked briefly at a February City Council meeting.
I had no reason to doubt his actions, and my letter and my being there were based on my experience. I don't have any inside information as to what, I didn't pay any attention to the trial or anything like that.
I think that people deserve to know where those people stand. This is what they elected, and what's your issues.
Canyon County Sheriff Kieran Donahue
It sends the wrong message.
Thinks these public officials, current and former, chose the wrong side.
I haven't seen their letters. I haven't seen what they said. But the fact is, this was a problem. Obviously, there was a very thorough and lengthy investigation by the FBI, which I support. I disagree with them writing those letters. We don't get to pick. We don't get to choose. We need to stay neutral. I don't care how long you've known the person. I don't care how long he's worked for you.
All sentencing letters were originally sealed, but KTPB's attorneys asked for the judge to unseal them. Our attorneys argued the public has a right to know the, quote, extent to which these officials support the former lieutenant convicted of federal crimes. And access to the letters supports the functioning of our government, allowing citizens to be informed. U.S. District Court Judge Scott Skovdahl unsealed some letters to promote transparency and integrity, agreeing the public has a strong interest in the use officials make of their positions of public trust. What is your perspective on a public official writing a letter of support for a law enforcement officer who's been found guilty of 3 federal crimes?
My personal opinion would be that a public officer should not lose their individual voice of who they choose to support or not support, whether that comes from them individually or as the person with X office is a different question. But if it's simply, I've known this person for 35 years, here's how I know them, this is what I know them to be, why shouldn't they be permitted to lend their support to somebody they care about?
Much like former Boise Mayor Dave Beater, he wrote a letter of support for a priest who pleaded guilty to possessing child porn in 2018. Beater said Thomas Fauché was a family friend for decades, and his history and faith led him to have compassion for Fauché. But Donahue feels public officials should be held to a higher standard.
And when you have this messaging that it's okay, well, he's a cop and let's treat him a little bit differently, then you're breaking the system. And the people who've elected us or appointed or what have you, who trust in us, you have just vacated that trust.
If you want to read all the letters that we obtained, we have them in this story on our website, ktvb.com. Meantime, Hoadley and his attorney are trying to appeal his conviction, meaning they want another court to review the case. We'll follow that process as it moves its way through the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. But tonight, for the first time since this story came out last year, I talked to Hoadley's family. His brother, John Hoadley, reached out to us wanting to share their side of the story. John doesn't think his brother committed these crimes. He says he's not that type of person. Ultimately, these sentencing letters aside, he believes Joey was left abandoned.
You know, that's the challenge with all of this. There were so many things that come out of this that are hearsay, speculation, justifiable in some people's conversations, others maybe not. I challenge with why Joey's leadership, if this was going on, where did they go? You think he was doing all of this by himself? If this is what was going on and his leadership didn't know anything? And then he mysteriously takes this and where's his leadership? Where's their accountability?